Awesome. I married up, for sure. I definitely married up. Rita talked about, make a decision to have a good attitude before you get out of bed, right? She thought that story was pretty good. Of course, that explains why I don't get up till around 8:30. That's about when my attitude changes. I'm well rested. I wake up naturally. There's no alarm clock. It doesn't the word alarm bother you to begin with. Most heart attacks occur on Monday morning to the alarm clock, right? So, before I get into a little bit more of our story, I want to help you understand something. There's a major seminar coming up in June. And if you're new, you might not believe me, you might not trust me, you might have a reason that you could figure out why to justify that you shouldn't be there or that you can't be there. But I want you to give it some serious thought over the duration of my talk. Because if you don't have your ticket yet and you're not yet convinced or you haven't yet decided that you're going to stick around for the ticket holder and that you're going to go, I hope my talk and my story, because it's my story, you can't change it. I'm not here to coerce you into going. I'm here to tell you my story, and it is what it is, and I'm not going to change it. But I'm going to tell you that's a big reason why Rita and I are here, is because we kept getting around this environment. We needed it. We're not good enough on our own. When Rita told you, she give you a peek into how we started out in this, and it wasn't, this isn't what we were born or educated to do in the beginning, whatever that means. My background's engineering. It's not this. It's not speaking on stages. It's not going into living rooms of America. It's not picking up the phone and saying, hey, have I caught you at a bad time? I never picked up the phone before and say, hey, have I caught you at a bad time? I didn't care if I caught him at a bad time or not. What's that got to do with calling someone, And so I'm just telling you, you need this environment to succeed. And if you think you don't, you're not going to make it. There's just no way. No one's ever made it without this environment. And if they had, they'd be screaming from the mountaintops that they made it without you, that they did it their way. And the reason is because we all have these things inside us called limiting beliefs. And it's very difficult to change our limiting beliefs on our own. I remember, my background is, many of you know, I left home at age 15. And there's reasons why somebody leaves home at age 15. I'm not going to get into the details of that, but you don't have probably the best family environment, right? Where are my dysfunctional people out there? Is anybody else in there? You don't come from all right, my people are here today. So, I'm sure my parents did the best they could, the best they knew how, and whatever that was is what it is. But, there's a reason you leave home at age 15. And I don't remember as a kid being a person that anybody necessarily believed in. My childhood went along actually pretty quickly, and there I was, age 15, trying to figure out what to do, where I was going to go, what was going to happen for the rest of my life. That's a very vulnerable age for a person. You feel a little bit independent, you're a little bit scared, and so I end up in the foster care program. And as I got into the foster care program, one of the things that was very, very different right away with the people that I got connected to, and people that are out there that are foster care parents, and you've got big hearts, and just God bless you taking in people and trying to help people out. Sometimes, however, some of the foster parents aren't sometimes too much better than the parents they came from. Find some situations out there where they didn't do so good with their kids, so they want to experiment on a second time on someone else's. However, I was not in that situation. I saw many situations that were. And I got hooked up with somebody that was a teacher, and it was the best situation that God had placed me in because they were someone that showed tremendous amount of work ethic. There was somebody that showed tremendous amount of belief in other people and someone that served other people. And it's something I didn't understand in the beginning. I was like, why do you give so much to these kids? They don't care, you know? And so I was kind of a logical person. It's very logical. If it doesn't make sense, why would you do it, you know? And, of course, it made sense to her. She understood that you have to invest in people if you want to influence them. You can't just push them around, or you can't just, you know, avoid them if you don't like them. That's just not what she was called to do. But I remember being in I made it to high school, and I remember I was kind of a lonely person, and I wasn't a football player type of person. I hadn't done many sports up until that point. And they were going to start a cross country team where I was going to high school, and I thought, well, maybe I'll go out and do that, you know. And so go out for the first day cross country, and you know, there's the football field, and I got my tennis shoes on, and I'm supposed to run around the football field, and I got about halfway around the football field, and I started thinking, this running thing ain't that fun. And it was about at that moment that I'd kind of made a decision that, well, since this ain't that fun, I'm going to figure out a different way to have fun. And I didn't quit the cross-country team. I kept hanging out, but boy, I sure didn't try very much. I was not giving it anything. In fact, I was always the guy at the back coming in last, and I was with my buddy, and we were just laughing, kind of having fun, and you know, the coach would push us, and I'd always be cracking up jokes. Are you kidding me, coach? Go how far? No way, you know, can we quit? Are we done yet? You know, just run around the football field one time, you know. And it pretty much went that way for quite a while, several weeks. And then we had to try out. There's only 7 people or so on a cross-country team. We had to try out. And you know, the first 7 people. So they had a race on campus, and I run, you know, and actually started thinking as I was running, I was like, well, what if I actually tried, you know? And I hadn't tried at all up until this point. And they had I was a freshman. They had the sophomore and freshman team combined, and so I think I might try, see what it goes, you know. And the cross-country course is 3.1 miles, and I hadn't tried at all. You know, I'd been jogging around the football field a couple times, coming in last and cracking up jokes and giving the coach a hard time, like a super hard time. And he was a melancholy too. I was driving him nuts. He wanted to kick me to the curb big time. He was in charge of the computer science. He was geeked out as you can get, you know. And I like that, by the way, because I spent a lot of time in the computer science class. And so I remember we had this chance to basically qualify for a real race, and I decided I'd try. And after trying, I came in like 4th or 5th, you know, and that was when I really ticked off the coach. Because he thought, you know, well, holy cow, this kid tried for the first time, and, you know, he's been practicing even, really. And, of course, I don't look much like a runner now, you know, but let's not confuse the facts. I run a different race these days. But a couple months went by, or not a couple weeks, whatever. We had an invitation, and I remember the school for sure. It was Prep South School down in the city, and they had a course. And I remember there was a buddy that I'd become friends with, Jimmy. And Jimmy's dad kind of, I don't know, he just recognized in me that I was just a little bit of a loner, and that I was kind of connected with his son. It was a little bit of a loner, but Jimmy's dad was a really good dad. He was a good role model for Jimmy, and I just remember kind of gravitating towards this guy a little bit. And I remember somehow we got to talking about who was going to win the race and who was going to run, and Jimmy's dad kind of liked me a little bit because Jimmy's dad knew that I was a little bit better than Jimmy at running and stuff like that for some reason, but we were hanging out a lot together, and I don't know if they had this worked out between them. I don't know if there was psychology. I don't know if this was a strategy. And at the time, it didn't matter. But what happened is we had a race to run, and Jimmy's dad bet the coach that I would win. And I thought, that feels pretty good. Somebody believes in me it's the first time I remember anybody ever believing in me. Now, they didn't tell me what they bet, but they were going to give me 10% of the winnings. Jimmy's dad was going to give me 10% of the winnings. They didn't tell me what the ultimate prize was, but I was like, 10% of something's better than nothing, so I'll take it. And I just remember I liked this guy just for believing in me. This is really the main reason. I ran around that course, and I got first place, and I set a record. And so the prize was a penny because they bet a dime. But I didn't know any difference. But belief can turn you into a winner. And if you don't have any belief in yourself, then you darn well better get around someone who does. Because I wasn't capable of believing in myself at that time in life. And it's one of the coolest things because somehow God led me to another experience. I did the corporate America thing. I went to college, go to school, get good grades, live the American dream, and I did that, and I struggled through college. I'm not the most disciplined guy, obviously, but I made it. I finally made it. Okay, I did it. I got through. I'm the first person in my, lineage to get through college. My parents were broke. My grandparents were broke. My great-grandparents came over on the broke flower, and I'm the first guy that makes it through college, and 6 years later, a bunch of debt later, I'm excited finally to get out and get into the working world, and there's no jobs. And so it's a little disappointing, the creditors are calling you. I'd maxed out every credit card. Somehow, they should not allow kids in college to get credit cards. That's the stupidest thing in the world, We're idiots at that moment. The parents are always saying so, but yet you let them get a credit card. Who's the dumber one? But anyway, I had a lot of debt. Bought a car right away. Not right out of college. I ended up getting a job working for another guy. And that's where another big transition came, is that guy didn't so much believe in me as he just believed a lot of things were possible. And it was interesting because it affected me. I'd be like, somehow I'm an engineer, and I was always into the facts. And I'd say, well, but we don't know that, and we don't understand this. And he'd be like, but we'll figure it out. There's people out there that do know. We'll call them. We'll track them down. And he'd spend countless hours. This is before the internet was popular. This is before, cell phones were popular. This is when, you carried a cell phone in a big old bag, and everybody looked at you everywhere you go because they knew you were cool and had money and stuff like that. But you'd never tell them you didn't use it. I remember a kid, Kyra Bolt, had a phone bag in class. However, so I learned from this guy just a lesson that it didn't occur to me at the time what I was learning. Now, there were other problems with him because he had never really had success in any area of his life, but he knew not the idea of failure. If he screwed up, if he made a mistake, if it didn't work out, now you can't go as far as he went because his character was kind of low. There was a problem. He would justify the ends for the means. And you can't go that far because your character is in trouble. But he would believe that anything's possible. And he'd come up with all these interesting ideas, and they'd sound great. And then I'd say, well, what about, I was the factual guy. What about this? And what about that? And I'd even get a little bit, aggressive with him when it come to these ideas. And he'd say, look, there are people that understand this. They know it. They can figure it out. We just got to find the guy that... And he'd go research it, and he'd come back with somebody that had the solution. He'd say, look, they figured it out. We can figure it out too. And back then, I didn't think a lot about that, but it was a huge transformation into me because I started to believe that, it's not that difficult. If someone else has figured it out, you can figure it out too. And somehow that set in me a little bit early on. He's probably the biggest implementer of that. I learned a lot of not so good things from this guy too. But belief is an important thing. It's a very important thing. It's when you talk about information and thinking, there's a couple compartments of thinking. You need some how-to, but you also need some why. But none of that's even important if you don't have belief. If you don't have belief, you can't accomplish anything because you won't do what it takes until you believe it. And so this environment is about helping you believe it, because when you see the recognition, when you see somebody go power player and double power player, all it does is it says what it is. Your belief level's wrong. It is possible. And I needed that. I don't know if you need it. Well, I do know you need it. I needed it. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs to be in an environment where it controls their belief level. Because again, our society isn't conducive to saying you're a winner all the time. Our society isn't conducive to saying failure is not fatal. I mean, failure is just, it's just when you make a mistake, you get to learn from it. But our society says when you make a mistake, something's wrong with you. Like, how come you didn't have it figured out? And so it's got everybody scared of doing something and learning something from their own experience. It's got everybody paralyzed. And in this game, the team part of the life business, the way this all orchestrates and works out, is, to me, it's become like a game. Now, I'm not a big sports guy, but what's happened to me is because I've been plugged into the training system so long here, I've read a lot of books. And because I've read a lot of books, I end up getting some sports books thrown at me. And in the beginning, I was like, I don't want to read any books on sports. I just don't get it. And everybody's got their form of entertainment. So I've certainly got mine, and you probably don't get mine. But I just don't get sitting around watching other people win. I just don't get it. Ones that you don't know, ones that were purchased, I just don't get it. I just don't. But then I started reading the books. And I'm like, these sports books going to talk all about football. Talk about football? Didn't hear it all. Talks about life. And one of the things this one talks about, Uncommon by Tony Dungy. Not only don't I watch sports, I don't read. Powerful thoughts. What I always feared has happened to me. What I dreaded has come true. Job 3:25. Life is challenging. I wish I could tell you that you'll always be on top of the mountain, but the reality is that there are days when nothing will go right. When not only will you not be on top, you may not even be able to figure out which way is up. Do yourself a favor and don't make it any harder than it has to be. In those moments, be careful how you speak to yourself. Be careful how you think of yourself. Be careful how you conduct yourself, and be careful how you develop yourself. We have an amazing ability to accomplish whatever our minds tell us we can do, a phenomenon that has been recognized throughout history. The great American novelist Henry James directed, "Be not afraid of life. Believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact." James could have been a football coach. First thing you have to do when you're trying to turn a football franchise from a loser to a winner is create the belief you can win. Most of the time, the talent is already there to accomplish the great things, but there is no belief that it will happen. You've got what it takes. You got what it takes to go power player. You've got what it takes to go turbo 10. You've got what it takes to go turbo 25. You've got what it takes to show up at work one day and have that big old bush of mistletoe strapped around your back belt loop and to shake it all over the place. You've got what it takes. You've got it. You got what it takes for that limousine to come showing up. It's planned to be there at 11:30. And it's your last day and you know it. Your kids might be in the limo too. Your grandkids might be there. You might be empty nesters and kids are in another state and you're getting ready to get on a plane and go visit them. But that day's coming for you. And maybe it's not your job you want out. Absolutely. Maybe it's not your job that you want out of. Maybe it's just influence. You've got what it takes to help us change the country. Because I believe it can be done. You've got what it takes. You've already got what it takes. You've got what it takes to earn influence. You got what it takes to change. You got what it takes as long as you have belief. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. You got to get the belief. And I don't know about you, I'm not good enough to continue to maintain my own belief. I stink at it. I need CDs every day. Every day I need CDs. And if not, I know it. And if I don't have them, I know it. And everybody around me knows it. I need books to set it in long term. It's not just the daily attitude. I need the books to actually change the thinking. It's not just in the moment of what's going on in Mark's head. It's what's going on subconsciously that I want to come out 3, 4, 5, 6 years later. You've got what it takes to read books. You've got what it takes to listen to CDs. You've got what it takes to make a list. You've got what it takes to get on the phone and say, have I caught you at a bad time? You've got what it takes to draw out ESBI 15 times a month. You've got what it takes. You've got what it takes. You got what it takes to read the top 5 books and the leadership book and the work on the relationship side or the activity side. You've got what it takes. You just need belief. As long as you've got belief, you've got what it takes. And if you don't got belief, we got it for you. That's why you got to go to the majors. See, if you're not where you want to be already, then you don't have belief. You need to hear Claude Hamilton's story again. Claude and Lana. You need to hear Wayne and Raylene McNamara again. You need to hear the big leaders from stage tell you that you've got what it takes. And they know that you've got what it takes because they used to be exactly where you are. They lacked belief at one time too. The 5-step pattern is what we do. It's not the problem. You can meet a new person if you have to. If you run out of names, you could figure it out. You've got what it takes as long as you've got belief. You got to have that belief. And when you have the belief, you'll do the work. And so if you're not yet doing the work, don't you dare miss Columbus. Don't you dare miss. Because you're worth it. It's much like a game. As much as I don't like sports, watching them, I like to play. I like to go outside and play basketball with the boys. We put in big old basketball so that we could have some fun doing that. And recently, my boys have been playing basketball, and they're really good at swimming. They're not so good at basketball. And I watched the coaches coach the basketball team, and I'm thinking, man, oh man, I think I need to coach. But it's much like a basketball game. When you've got belief, here's how it works. How many of you, and again, I'm not the biggest sports guy, but I did play some, but I'm just not a spectator of it, is what I'm trying to say. When you're dribbling down the court with a ball, you've got an offense, and you're trying to score, right? Does the defense just allow you to score? They try to stop you, right? There's some obstacles in the way, right? They're not just going to allow you to throw the lob pass to your buddy. Hey, dribble right up and shoot. Come on by. Power player, just go on. We'll let you go. No problem. Never going to stop you here. No, you go down there with the play, and the play doesn't work out. You make that list. You make your first call, and the defense stops you, don't they? They cancel on you. So what do? Wait for the next day and wait for the next game? Is that what they do? Or what do? They counteract the defense, don't they? All right, I'm still scoring tonight because you got what it takes. You're not going to let the defense stop you. You don't give up. You don't wait for the next game. You don't go home. Cheerleaders on the sidelines still calling. You got what it takes. Your spouse is believing in you. Your mentors believe in you. They're saying, so what? They stopped you with the block. Get on the phone, make something else happen. Someone's home. Everybody's home at 8:30 at night, for crying out loud. Especially in the winter. You got what it takes. Don't go home defeated without belief. Don't quit on your goals and dreams because you've got what it takes. You can still score. You go out and show the plan. Someone says no. So what? That was just the warm-up game. We're going for the championship. Many of you that love sports play this like a sport. Recognize you're going to have things that stop you. 95%ers are going to say you can't do it. People are going to say it shouldn't be done. People are going to say it's not right. There are people out there with different worldviews than the people in this room. They want equal outcome, not equal opportunity. This is an equal opportunity business with the right to become unequal through your own performance. So not everybody's going to agree with the way this operates. They're not going to understand it. They're going to think everybody should be paid equal. Everybody should be paid the same, just like a job. No, I don't want a job. I don't want that kind of opportunity. I want the right to become unequal. I need something that will pay for performance because I got what it takes, and so do you. You got what it takes. As long as you've got belief, you've got what it takes. You got to believe it. And you start believing it first in your mind. You don't need to see it. Close your eyes and you think about what you want. What's the day look like that's your last day, that you pay off that bill? Creditors calling you, driving you crazy. Can't stand it. Trying to figure out how you're going to pay for tools. Should I pay for tools? Should they tell me to get out of debt? What should I do? Should I buy CDs? Should I buy a top 50 pack? How am I going to afford that ticket to the seminar? What are we going to do with our kids? You've got what it takes to figure that out. Don't let that defense stop you. You can't win the game. You got to understand there's obstacles to succeed, but you still got what it takes. Those obstacles can't hold a candle to you. You just got to believe it. What is it you want? What is it that moves you? What is it that creates passion and fire in you? Is it your kids? Is it your spouse? Your man in the room? Did you have a victory one time, but you haven't had one in a long time? John Eldridge says every man needs a battle to fight, a beauty to rescue, an adventure to live. What's your adventure? What are you fighting for? Time for the men in America to get something to fight for, a battle. Because we got what it takes. God gave us it. We got what it takes. We won't let the defense stop us. We got the fast break. Man to man, don't stand a chance. Zone, we're going to score tonight. And if we don't, we're going to get up tomorrow. We're going to practice our free throws again, and we're going to score the next night. And if we don't, it doesn't matter, because we might not be the best team, but we're going to be the best conditioned team. Because we got what it takes. You got what it takes. You got what it takes. You just need to believe it. That's all you got to do is believe it. You just got to believe it. You can't afford your own thinking. You can't afford it. You got to be around this environment. There's nothing wrong with who you are. We're all messed up. None of us are perfect in here. But every person can make a list. Every person can contact. Every person can get better. Every person can show the plan. Every person can hand out a first night back. Every single person in here struggles in some way financially and mentally with all of this stuff. Just because you make it up here on stage doesn't mean you're going to win every single night, every single game. But we're still going to win the championship because we do not quit. We got what it takes. And so I just want to tell you, figure it out. If you don't have the money tonight and you cannot buy your ticket, make a commitment to yourself. I'm still going. I'm going to figure it out. You got several months to budget. You've got several months to figure it out. Rita was telling you about our boys that went to, it snowed, and, they're broke dudes. They don't have any money. We give them a little bit of allowance, and it's not very much. We don't want to set the bar too high too soon, But I think I screwed up because it snowed, and, they're a little bit shy until you get to know them, And so I said, grab a shovel and get in the car. And we don't live in a neighborhood. I mean, that's what I said. You guys each grab a shovel and get in the car. Where are we going, Dad? I said, we're going to make some money. And they're like, oh, okay, great, But they didn't know what I was going to do. So I threw 2 shovels in the back. Of course, the foot of snow. And I says, all right. And they're all bundled up. And I says, all right, you take that shovel. And I just sat in the car in the middle of the road. And they get out, and, 11 and 9. And they went and knocked on the first door. And I said, just go up there and say, hey, would you like me to shovel? I gave them a price. I didn't know if I was even the right price. I said, go on up there and knock on the door in the neighborhood that we were in. Basically, I just drove to a strange neighborhood. It's not strange. The Abernathys live over there. But we don't. Some of the best strangers in the world come out of that neighborhood. If everybody was as strange as them, it would be awesome. So, it's a neighbor. It's just not where we live. It's just, a couple blocks over. So the kids don't know the people is what I'm saying. And so, I said, look, just get out of the car and go up there with the shovel, and they're going to pretty much understand what you want. And just say, $10 for 2 doors or 15 for 3 because it's garage doors, these are pretty big. So I didn't know if that was right. I figured maybe they'll make, $10 an hour. I don't know. Maybe they'll make $7 an hour, something like that. And so the first door they knocked on, nobody was home. Second door they knocked on, nobody was home. Third door they knocked on, nobody was home. Fourth door they knocked on, the guy thought he had a better tool. It was a snowblower. But that wasn't a better tool for developing character, so we kept going. Because I want my boys to know they've got what it takes. So about the 5th door we knocked on, you looked at little Aaron and little Adam, 11 years old, 9 years old, 2 big old shovels in their hand. She says, you think you can do it? It's a foot of snow.
What did you say about champions?
If you want to be a champion, you got to pay the price.
And I sat there and watched those boys clean that driveway squeegee clean in an hour and a half. And they didn't get $15, which is what the agreed price was. They got 30. So that's created a kind of a problem at home because they believe their market value for laborers. I screwed up because I showed them they got what it takes. Rita didn't tell you the full story. She said that they didn't want to spend their money because Adam knows that Scott and Angie Balla's boys, Mason and Carter, are going to the major. Tickets, $150 or $25. I can't remember what it is for a new person, never gone before. But Adam didn't have his money, and he's been, Dad, how am I going to get my money? Because he turns 12 June 22nd. Now, I didn't tell him he should go. He's listening to CDs, and the CDs told him he's got what it takes. I just kicked him out the door so he could get the money. So the next day, they were on fire to shovel more snow. They were excited. They shoveled one driveway. I bet you they shoveled as much snow as in this room just on one driveway. This square footage, one of the driveways they showed, it was like, whoa. Well, they got $60 to do that one. They came back with, $150, something like that, $135, $50, and basically working 6 hours to get their tickets. And so not only did Adam get his ticket for the major, he got his ticket to buy his next ticket for the major so he can stay for the ticket holder. So if my 11-year-old boy can figure out how to get $150 for the major, you got what it takes. You got to be in that environment. You got to be up there, even if you're just a little speck way up in the bleachers and you're coming in because you're a little bit shy and you're not quite sure and you haven't got all this figured out, and you just got to be there. You need the environment. You need the belief, because it's going to keep you going for another couple of more months. And it won't be the first month that you get everything figured out. It won't be the second month. It won't be the third. It might not even be the 12th month. But if you go back again and again and again, read, and I've never missed a major. We've never missed a seminar. We've never missed a local seminar unless we were speaking somewhere else. We've never missed a Tuesday night because we needed the belief, because it would be the only thing that we wouldn't have. Everything else, we know we got what it takes. This environment is amazing. You're amazing people. To come together on a Saturday night, a beautiful Saturday night, a day you could be doing anything else, because together we achieve more, because together we got more than it takes. So let me leave you with this final word. You can do it, and it's worth it. There's going to be some sacrifices along the way. There's going to be some things that try to stop you, but just focus on what you want. Don't worry about the obstacles. You're going to have obstacles whether you do this or not. You might as well make it worth it. Make the obstacles pay. Get a little reward for having to go through them, because you're going to have them. You're going to have them in your marriage. You're going to have them in your raising of kids. You're going to have them in your finances. You're going to have them in the economy. You're going to have them in the country. You're going to have them in your neighborhood. But you deserve choices so you can get around them. You've got what it takes. God bless you guys.